Okay, time to wrap up I guess the second week in July. Get a sound check now. It's July the 11th, 2:15 Central Time. Testing, testing. Very good. Chaz, they say some 50-degree weather is coming your way next week. Hopefully they meant nighttime. I didn't get much deeper into the headlines than that, but that seems pretty cool to me. We're supposed to be in the low 80s, so that'll be fun. Today's a summer day. We traded, didn't really trade. Volumes are off, volatility's way down, and the range is down. We started off the day thinking that we would have resistance at 65 to 70 and support at 50 to 55. The low's 53. Up until now, the high's been about 60. In the first hour of trading, we lowered our sell down to the 60 area. Resistance, so basically it's a 55 minus, 59 plus market for most of the day. The market is trying to trade up right now as I speak, so my guess is that we'll have a close at least higher than yesterday, so people can look at a positive close into the weekend. No news on Monday. The news comes on Tuesday with retail sales. Monday is the official French national holiday. Their banks at least will be closed, so that will impact the trading. So it is the middle of the summer. I mean, if you ever wanted a week to take off in the summer, 2 weeks, it would be July the 4th through the 14th. And we're coming up on the 14th. And then month of August, Europe is pretty much on hold. Put an interesting article up from Zero Hedge talking from the largest insurer in Europe, talking about nothing has been solved. The debt problem has been pushed. The can's been kicked down the road. In Europe, only one country in the European Union has an improved debt situation. So everybody wonders when the next shoe will drop. And nobody knows the answer to that. So here we are on the E-mini. When we talked about it earlier, we said if we spent some time in this area, started to trade up here, it'd be fairly easy to change it to a P. And we could do an H split right now, or an I split. And probably, let's see which one we have here. Do an H split. And there's our move out of the middle. And we had talked about that earlier, that activity in the 56 area, 57 area would favor higher prices. So again, when we look at this, it just has trading range written all over it. I think the key is right here. As long as we stay beneath that number, we can build volume lower. Not much of a way of a sell-off. 78 to 45. That's what, 30 points. Not much of a correction at all. So, if the market was to close right here at 60, we'd put stops above today's high, the overnight session high. We'd put a 64.66. And then a 69.71. On the buy side for Globex, 55.57, pretty much where we were this morning. And I do like the 50.52 better, but probably not on Monday. On Monday, come in. The 55 area better hold, or we could head lower. Okay, the note Yeah, I really liked the movie America, and uh, it really addresses the 5 myths about America that propagated by Howard Zinn, who's a revisionist historian, ex-Communist Party member, who is trying to revise the history of the United States, and unfortunately most of it has now been adopted into all of our public school education. So, but if you really if you've traveled around the world and you've done it American style, there are these little islands of opulence, even in the poorest countries around the world, where you'll have 1 to 3 square blocks where you've got Western hotels, you've got Western amenities, you've got clean water, etc. But you get very far from that, you can get in trouble. If you haven't really been out in the boonies around the world, it's really hard to appreciate how good we have it in the United States. And so this idea that America is the evil engine in the world. I mean, there's no black book written on America that's actually true, like the Black Book of Communism. And I think the movie America, there's some really interesting tidbits of history in there that I enjoyed, that didn't know and had forgotten some of them. So it's a very worthwhile movie to go see, just from an American history standpoint. And I bought his book too. They're going to send this guy to jail. They're going to show him that you better have a D after your name if you get caught screwing with the political process. So I think Dinesh will throw himself on the mercy of the courts this fall and get nailed to the cross for really something that gets brushed aside for most people. But he had the audacity to make a movie earlier that challenged the current administration. But I really think some of the historical facts and some of the insights that you'll gain, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody, really make it a worthwhile see if you're interested in history. And it's just his take, what if there wasn't an America? And if you've never participated in some of these big worldwide rescue operations, if you haven't gone in and seen how other people live and what other people's governments can do to them, you might believe the junk that comes out of our press these days. Okay, here we are. We got a 125.16 top to the market, so 12 to 16 is resistance. You can see it over here. We're pushing the high end of that range, and we definitely have rejected prices below 124.04. So one pattern that we do have in the post-auction week, the market usually sells as the primary dealers set up the 2, 5, and 7-year auction. And that's a dynamic that we'll get a pretty good read on. The knob spread went out at 12.04 this morning. It started at 11.29. So there's still pretty good buying in the knob. Crude prices are down. And they should be if there's no war premium in them. First we talked about 250, 102.50, then we talked about 100 starting yesterday, where I think the target is. So, and crude's moving that way. So we're at the top end of the trading range right here, and we've got a reasonable close. So we've got to get through this 16 to 20 area to hold some of this length in their positions, or the primary dealers setting up the 2, 5, and 7-year auctions will kick in and start selling futures, and my guess is that's probably what will happen, and setting up the 2, 5, and 7-year auctions. So here we are. We've got a profile TPO-wise that leans P volume-wise. It's a little bit different tale. So we're currently at 8. I think selling failure to get through this 12 area. This 10 to 12 area right here. You see this L period high is the trade that's just the easiest to see. And then 15s to 19s will be sell 2. On the buy side, I'm going to go back to where we were this morning, 01 to 29. And then 21 to 25. No news to drive the trading, so that's where we are on that. Yeah, it is really, really difficult to see the coercive power of the government, how they can just make your life hell, because they don't go away, and it is an abuse of power, and all these crimes that companies are accused of doing, most of the time we'll see they pay a fine with no admission of guilt. Well, the regulators have put them back into place. They've gotten the attention of these companies. The company's ability to continue their current business really isn't jeopardized. Their wallets are a little lighter, and everybody's happy, and the government has smacked these people down. And you've seen companies, Microsoft, just get tooled on antitrust legislation because they weren't sending enough money to Washington. In so many aspects of what they do, the coercive power of the government, I mean, it's just very, very easy to abuse that. And back in the old days, you could sue government employees for overstepping their bounds, and there's a movement. I read a article the other day talking about what if we could sue government employees for breaking their own rules and regulations or applying them outside of the boundaries of their conception. And what happens now in the government with politicians and bureaucrats is there's no accountability. You can get up there and screw the pooch 9 ways to Sunday, and nothing's going to happen to you, or you might have to retire early with full pension. And nobody else out there has that kind of protection. Okay, here we are in the 30-year. 20's definitely resistance, and 23. So last rotate up stopped at 13. So we're going to sell failure to take out 16 to 20. I think that's the trade. And we'll open it up on the buy side with the idea that perhaps they might pressure the market setting up the next auction. So we'll make 1 to 5 our first buy. Definitely against the buck is better than 29 to 25. Okay, looking at gold. What can happen over the weekend that'll make gold rally? I have no idea, but it's holding its gains pretty well. I think with France out of the picture, French banks closed, I'm sure the stock market will be, if July the 14th is still their national holiday, and I think it is. That will, and no major news in the United States, will probably awaken to a trading range in gold. So you can see it's holding its gains very well. Very, very comfortable selling the 45, 47. Even more comfortable selling 50, because I do think we are headed to 50. But can sell failure to take out 40 to 42. Yeah, we celebrate with firecrackers. Hopefully France does too. Not with chopping off people's heads. And I'm going to leave our buy at 33.35. It's worked 2 days in a row. And our 30 plus or minus will be buy too. What's the big difference between the formation of France, the French Republic after the Revolution, compared to our revolution and what we formed? When they look at man, Rousseau's man. France looked at Rousseau's man. We looked at the Greek-Roman picture of man. Well, the French took the equality and fraternity take on man and the goodness of man and everything like that. And that sure as hell didn't last long during the French Revolution, as many people walked the plank, so to speak. And in our revolution, we took the idea of liberty for all, the right to pursue liberty and happiness, and it's quite a bit of it's a huge philosophical difference in the basis or foundation of each country, and we know what the results have been. But the old school idea that prior to the 1970 that a lot of people could get an education is that man can be noble with the proper coercion and education. He's not noble in and of himself. He tends towards Lord of the Flies. And Rousseau's take on the world was that man was the noble savage, and that just leave him alone and he would develop it by himself. And we know that sure as hell isn't true. It's an admirable goal, but okay, $150, a low volume number, bounced the market. Now, my feeling is crude's going to 100, and we'll take another look at it. We got this big attractor down here at 100, so that's going to help us. So if we can bust this 51 area right here, I think we're going down to 100. So we're going to make our buy 100. Now I'm going to put a question mark here at 50. We gotta crack that, and we're one headline away from an explosive rally in crude. And bad news out of Iraq or Iran or Saudi Arabia or any other place like that is the headline we don't want to see. I think Russia and Ukraine, that's behind us. I saw some bad stuff out of Iraq, Baghdad against the Kurds, howling about the theft of the land that's rightfully Iraq. They can't form their own country. Tell that to the Kurds. Cell 1 is going to be 100 to 125, and then cell 2 is going to be our 50 to 75. But anybody's going to be really hard. They could have fought a civil war back when they broke up. Iraq was broken up after Saddam's demise, but the United States talked them into doing it, and they've had their own forces. They've gotten a lot of equipment from us, so they know how to fight. They've been fighting for years, so. So there's no way that Baghdad would be able to take them out and reconquer them, in my most humble opinion. Okay, the euro. I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to like to sell 136.50s. With France out of the picture, I think currency's currency trading could be even slower than it was today. Look at the screen. I mean, it's been extremely slow. So I'm really comfortable selling the 50 area. Got to get there first. I'm not real comfortable buying this 90 to the 136, but damn, that's where the buy's been. So we'll put the buy there one more time. Then getting stops below 81 over here. So we'll make 65.75 buy 2. On the sell side, we're going to start out again. We'll make it 20 to 30, give it a little bit of room. And then basically 50 plus or minus 5 for sell 2. So that's it for July the 11th, 2014.